see right here me solo healing and surviving a hammer ultimate with 3 other people also trying to kill me. Stamina and MagDk is completely fine. I even drop an ultimate in the middle of it, but as you'll see there, I have a lag spike and get hit by 2 more ultimates, which finally kills me. I could have just held block and healed it away and probably killed them all afterwards. My friends, it is time. The MagDk is back, and it is badass. So today I'm going to be sharing with you my open world 1vx/outnumbered MagDk. So, for those of you that want to see it, stick around. I'll quickly show you the sets, and then I'll go back through the details of why I'm running things the way that I'm running them, because it's a little bit different than my usual MagDk. So, very quickly, first set is spinners. Now, this is here for one simple reason. Well, maybe 2. First, everybody has a lot of resistances, 35k upwards, some in the 40k. So penetration to lower that resistance of your opponent is very strong. The other option is Burning Spellweave. However, the problem with the Burning Spellweave setup, which is very good, it's not a bad option, you have to use the other morph of this whip. I personally hate that morph, and I've never liked that morph. That's not the style I like to play. I like this one. So I don't go the spell damage whip, because that's the best way to do it with the Burning Spellweave. So I've gone for spinners. Next set is Ice Staff. It's the Vatasharan Ice Staff on the back bar. It's literally just here for a little bit of extra dot pressure. And it's free because I run early drain on my back bar anyway, so why would I not pick this? It just makes sense. Next is Balorgs. Now you can run Grothdar. Grothdar is the other alternative that you would pick. However, Grothdar is a more sustained set this patch, as it hits almost nothing compared to what it used to. It is a complete shadow of its former self due to the changes and the nerfs. Even if you have 6.5k spell damage, it still only just hits around about what it used to hit. So really it's only for sustain now. It's for proccing the combustion passive and getting all that sustain back if you need it. However, I don't. which means the set I've gone for is Balrogs. Now this is Balrogs right here. It's a lot of extra penetration, and it's a decent amount of spell damage if you use it at the right time. I've got 9k leaps plus with this build without the Balrogs, but even with the Balrogs it does help a lot. Next set is Pariah. This is the final set of the build because we're not running a mythic. Okay, everybody's running a resistance set of some form. Everybody. Okay, and if they're not, it's because they're a tanky class like Necro and they can get away with not using one. The reason I've gone for Pariah over the other sets is because of how MagDk heals. The lower your health gets, and the more resistances you get from Pariah. Now MagDk, especially when you're stage 3 vampire, which I am, you can comfortably let your health get quite low before you press a heal of some form. Usually you'll be being offensive, your health will get low because you're on the front bar, and then you just pop a Burning Embers and you don't even have to go to your back bar to heal. I do this all the time, which means I get to use the bonuses of Pariah quite well. And that's it. That's it. We're just running those 3 sets. There's no mythic this time around. I will explain why I'm not using the mythic, but those are just the sets for those who want to know. So, for the details of the build, I have a 2-handed maul on the front bar. The reason I've gone for the 2-handed maul over a staff is because it's extra penetration, a lot more penetration in fact, and like I said, everybody's running defensive sets. Everybody has a lot of resistances. Pen goes through those, so we've gone for a lot more pen. It's encharpened for even more pen, and the enchant is a shock enchant. This is a little bit of extra burst when it procs, and it applies minor vulnerability. This is 5% extra damage to your opponents. Back bar is a weapon enchant. This is for light attacking at a distance, or as you come in for your combo, to buff up your tooltips, or to buff up your heals in a defensive time. It's empowered for even more heals because there's no need for defending thanks to Pariah. So, powered with a weapon enchant. Now on the body, this should be a tri-stat. I should have 3. I just haven't really done that yet. I'll do it probably straight after this video because I'm lazy. So it should be tri-stat, 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 3 tri-stats, and the rest should be max magic. Traits wise, we're running 1 reinforced. You don't need this, however I've just got it here for a little bit of comfort. This build will only die if it's bursted. If it ain't burst, you ain't dying, right? And I just like that extra bit of cushion there to make sure that I'm not bursted as easy. The rest of the pieces are in impen because, well, you don't need impen, however I want impen. If you want sturdy or you want some well fitted, you can do that quite comfortably, but my preference is impen. Okay. Now to the jewelry. This is where the build changes quite a little bit, and I'll explain why I've made those changes. So first one is a reduced cost infused. This is because even with the nice change we got this patch, MagDk skills are quite expensive still. Reducing that is much easier than running recovery. Always go reduced cost on a MagDk, never stack into recovery. The next one is a reduced cost Bloodthirsty. Now if you have a look at Bloodthirsty right there, you'll see what it does. It increases your spell damage up to 350 to enemies under 90% health. Now this won't show on your stat sheet. Just remember, this will not show on your stat sheet because it is against enemies under 90% health. And we have 2 of those. Now this one is a recovery one, just for comfort. I have enough reduced cost between these 2. So this one I have gone for recovery, but again it is in Bloodthirsty. So that means between the 2 Bloodthirsty, when I get my enemy's health low enough, and bear in mind, look, it only says under 90% health. You don't have to get them to execute, okay, to get the most out of the Bloodthirsty. You really don't. That's what makes it so good. The only reason we didn't run it in previous patches is because we didn't need to. This patch, in my opinion, you do need to stack a decent amount of spell damage and penetration to kill your opponents, so I went for 2 Bloodthirsty. Those together gives you, as you can see, 350, 350, so that's 700 spell damage on an enemy whose health is under 90%. I don't know about you, but that is a hell of a lot of spell damage to get for just swapping 2 traits. The reason it's not just, you know, infused spell damage cost is because I tried that and sustain was a pain in the ass. By going bloodthirsty, it means that I can still run the reduced cost and the mag recovery on the enchants. So it's a clever way to get sustain and damage through your jewelry. So, Engulfing Flames. This is a lot of other MagDk's flex spots. Personally, I never flex spot this because 1, it brings Nightblades out of stealth. 2, it's quite a good dot. And 3, it buffs all of your spell damage when I'm fully buffed, flame damage by 10%. Everything I do as a MagDk, especially when I have standard on the back bar, is flame damage. Everything's fire damage. This buffs that by 10%. In my opinion, that's like not slotting one of your CP trees, because your CPs buff you by 10% most of the time. This is a further 10%. I don't know why people always swap that skill. I understand it has a funny hitbox, but if you've played MagDk long enough, you learn to make it land. Next is Fossilize, best stun in the game. If you're going for the spell damage route with the Burning Spellweave and the other morph of this whip, use the other morph of Fossilize, as it will do much better for you. Burning Embers, decent heal, decent dot. Flame Lash, this is my preferred morph. It feels a lot more like a spammable to me than the other one. And you get the Power Lash. The Power Lash obviously does a lot more damage when you get the Power Lash, which I can land every 4 seconds thanks to Talons and Fossilize. So getting that every 4 seconds is quite nice. The heal over time is another reason I run this, because it allows you to heal comfortably without swapping to your back bar. Burning Talons, you can run the other morph of this if you want to, however I like this morph this patch. It is only a slight bit of extra damage boost, however with it being buffed by Engulfing Flames, this does a lot more damage than you think. Again, these are unbuffed tooltips. I am a spell penetration build, so ignore these tooltips because they are unbuffed also. Ultimate is Ferocious Leap. I have landed 9k to 10k, and I do quite often. It's not a rare occurrence, and they don't even need to be crits. This build will comfortably land 9k and 10k leaps, maybe more, if you time your combo right and you're fully buffed on the opponent. And the main reason for that, one of the main reasons for that, is thanks to Bloodthirsty. Again, Bloodthirsty right here. Enemies under 90% health, you will get up to 350 spell damage against that enemy. I have 2 of these, and they're in gold. Okay? So if I've got an enemy low, and I stun him, and he's off balance, which as a MagDk you will set people off balance, which is another 10% extra damage, and I've got all my buffs up on him, I've got my dots on him, and I leap, that is how you get the 10k leaps. Okay? Back bar, Volatile Armor. It's a decent dot, especially with Engulfing Flames. So it's a dot, it's your resistance buff, and it pulls Nightblades out of stealth. This skill will also help you with your sustain. Don't use the other morph, it's poo-poo. Coagulating Blood, my favourite heal in the game now. I used to hate this skill. Everybody used to hate this skill, but it's been buffed. It's cheaper than it was, and it actually heals good now. I love this skill. Now, Mist Form. We are a vampire this patch. If you're a mag, in my opinion, you need to be stage 3 vampire this patch. It's absolutely incredible. Stage 3 vampire with Pariah makes you unkillable, but the reason we're running this skill is it's your snare removable, and it is also your movement speed and kiting tool. Oh, and not only that, having this at stage 2 and above will give you 600 spell damage for 6 seconds when you use the ability. So when you're going to do your combo and you're fully buffed on the opponent, you come out of Mist Form really quick, light attack, and you get the 600 spell damage, but with the light attack you'll proc your weapon enchant, and you literally just need to do it for a second, just a tiny second. 600 spell damage, 600 spell damage, 600 spell damage. So it's so easy to put into your combo. So easy to put into your combo. There's no reason not to run Vampire this patch. It's amazing. Cauterize, this is your flex. If you want to, you can put the other morph or swap it for something else. Personally, I still love this ability so much, and it helps your teammates in a pinch. Ellie Drain, this is to proc Vatashran on the back bar, and it's your sustain and 6000 pen. Again, we are a pen build. Last skill is Temporal Guard. In groups, I swap this for Standard of Might. However, when it's just one or two of us, I keep this on the back bar for the shield and the reduced cost to damage taken. Okay, so now for the stat sheet. So we'll start with resistances, as that needs a little bit of explaining. Not much, but just a little bit. So on both bars, doesn't matter which bar I'm on, they'll be the same. 32,000 spell, 24,000 physical. Now, with Pariah, those will go up basically another 10k. So I'll just quickly show you that now. Now quickly offensive stats, because that needs a little bit of explaining. So I do use spell damage pots 90% of the time, or spell detection pots. I can sometimes swap to the immovability pots or try spot, but most of the time I don't. I don't use those. I stay with the spell damage pot, because if you know how to play MagDk, especially at stage 3 vampire in Pariah, you will find that you don't need those other pots as much as you would think. I do use them sometimes, but most of the time I'm on spell damage pots. So, with your spell damage pot up, your weapon enchant proc, and a mist form proc, which again just takes a little second, so you can do this anytime you're going to combo, and most of the time the enemy doesn't even notice, okay? So with mist form proc and the lat attack with your pot up, you're at 4,100 spell damage. Now, I've just got my ultimate, like it's just over, but basically just fresh ultimate. So on top of just proccing a Balrogs the second you get your ultimate, or as soon as you can leap, fully buffed, using a quick Balrogs, even as cheap as your leap, you will still have 4,300 spell damage, and you get 17k pen. Now, from my Bloodthirsty, enemies under 90% health, you'll get the 700 spell damage buff, and if you just Balrog leaped on somebody fully buffed with all your dots and things on, you will get that spell damage, which means against that particular target you're gonna have 5,000 spell damage and 17k pen alone. That's not even including the 6k from Ellie Drain. Okay, so you're gonna be in the 20 plus k range of pen with 5,000 spell damage. Now that was just proccing the leap as it was pretty much fresh, right? Like as you just get it and you use it, you've got 5,000 spell damage against that target and 20k plus pen. Now this is a 500 Balrogs one, because we do this a lot. We purposely build the 500 Balrogs by taking resources, attacking ads, or just holding on to it, kiting until we have the 500, and then we'll turn and burn and nuke. So I have to show you that as well. So fully buffed with the Balrogs, you're looking at 4,700 spell damage and 25k pen. Now, like I've just said, that's not including Ellie Drain, so you're going to have 30,000 pen, okay? And then 700 spell damage from this, you're looking at 5,500-ish, maybe more. I didn't do the exact math, but you're looking at 5,500 spell damage with 30k pen against those targets, okay? That's ridiculous. We're in, you know, we're in Pariah, okay? We're in Pariah, which is a defensive set, no mythic and spinners, and we have 5,500 spell damage at the best of times. If not, we're still averaging round 5,000 spell damage and 20k plus pen. Even without the 500 Balrogs, your penetration, including the Ellie Drain, look, 13.5k plus the 6,000. You're just shy of 20k pen. You're around 20k pen, and again, so even without the Balrogs, and you just do your basic buffs against an enemy you're attacking fully buffed, you will have 5,000 spell damage and 20k pen. The rest of our stats, our max magic is fine at 32,000. Health is 27,000, which will go higher when I fix the tri-stat enchant, so you'll be around 28k health, which is fine. That's exactly where you want it. And the max stamina is at 18k, which is perfectly fine. Recovery's at 1800. Early Drain will put that to about 2k. So those are the stats. Crit resistance is fine again. Malakath is around, and when you're this tanky at stage 3 vampire, crits aren't the biggest issue in the world. Focus mending, because you need a lot of healing this patch. Damage is very, very, very high. And my two selectables on this side are Biting Aura and Master at Arms. I did do a lot of testing against the CP to see which one gave me the highest leaps and whips. Biting Aura gave me the highest leaps, and this one gave me the highest whips. Now you can honestly go for any of these trees. It will buff any of the damage that you do, because MagDk does, well, every form of damage. Okay? But for the biggest burst combos and turn and burns, these two gave me the highest numbers, so I went for those. Duelist Tree buff is the final tree. However, if you die to a lot of AoE/cleave abilities, go for this one instead. Obviously the rest you just slot into everything. That's a standard, they're just your passives. Red tree is Juggernaut, Boundless Vitality for the health, and Rejuvenation. Now the final one, I went for Survival Instincts. If you were going to change one, because I know a lot of people will want to put the armor buff in, personally I don't, because you'll see when I proc the Pariah, I am still, 35 to 40k resistances, and I'm a stage 3 vampire on a MagDk. That's still ridiculously tanky. I found I could drop the resistances and still be completely fine. I went for more sustain, because sustain on a MagDk is already hard. I'm not using Grothdar, which also used to be the biggest thing that you would use for sustain on MagDks. So being stage 3 vampire with the reduced cost on my jewelry, and then these two sustaining trees that I have, I never ever run out of magicka. If you're going to flex one, take this one out. It's not the biggest help. I do sustain without it. However, because of my personal playstyle, and I do overcast a lot of abilities, but I do it on purpose because of comfort, I prefer the extra sustain. However, you really don't need it. And those are my CPs. Nothing really notable in the green tree that you'll care about, so don't bother about that. Last bits of information: I am a Breton. You need to be a Breton. I'm using the Atronach Munderstone. My food is Bewitched Sugar Skulls, right here. And like I said, for the pots, I use mainly spell damage pot. However, Tripot and a movability pot works just fine. You'll still have all of your damage. So there you go.